Greetings, sending all some warm, positive vibrations. Greetings, this is Body Culinary. Happy, blessed Sunday. We're going to have a talk communication this morning. So happy Sunday. I invite you to grab your water in a wine glass or your herbal tea, your non-alcoholic beverage. After all, it is. So hopefully you're giving your body liver. I know we like to focus on the skin and the muscles. Hopefully, we can give the organs some play, right? The kidneys, liver, the spleen, the thyroid. We don't want to wait until somebody's going to cut it out to give it some attention, even though you can't see it. So grab your water in a glass. We're gonna have a little chit chat. So welcome. I'm Body Culinary, also Kwasapeacefull Eating. You can find me as Kwasapeacefull Eating. Let's see, on feed. Also, on all social media as Body Culinary. I am a nutrition and fitness consultant, been in the industry of movement, body movement, fitness competition, personal training, and I'm also classically trained as a chef. So over 30 years. And I'm very, very passionate about three leveraged lifestyle practices, And we're going to get into those lifestyle practices. I talk about them all the time because they are practices, habits that you have access to wherever you're living, wherever you're paying rent or mortgage, wherever you have a space. You actually have the ability, the capacity to dramatically improve your level of fitness. By fitness, I mean your cardiovascular health, your bone density, which is really important, your body composition. That's usually the biggest one that most people are concerned about, and that being your ratio. I love distinctions. The ratio of lean mass to adipose tissue. Adipose tissue being the technical term for fatty tissue, as well as our mobility, the ability of the arms and legs, the levers to move a free range, pain-free around the joints, and then flexibility. All of those things, cardio, strength, flexibility and mobility, and then nutrition, as well as rest, relaxation, recovery. Those would make up and do make up a balanced program. So I have a question this morning. My question is, what is the disconnect? And even before the disconnect, I invite you to take a moment to consider and to ponder, to ruminate, to not ruminate, but to marinate on the question, what is it that you need your precious body temple, your vehicle, your human suit, your car, your one and only car that you have while you're here in this human suit? How do you need it to perform? What do you need your body to be able to do for you in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? You ever consider what do you need the body to do? I totally get, I get the vanity portion, looking good in a pair of jeans, looking good for a wedding or for a vacation. I'm going on a cruise. I get that. By the way, that's usually not sustainable for the average person. I get that. I get that you want clear skin. Most of us want to enjoy clear skin. I've had uh, truckloads of acne and acne scarring. Actually, if you scroll in the community section on the Body Culinary YouTube channel, in the community section, you can see, there's lots of pictures of what my skin was looking like. And that was as a vegan, with lots of acne, whiteheads, you can see them coming out, hyperpigmentation and scarring. So that was no fun, especially being somebody very fit with lots of acne. Not enjoyable, especially wanting to be and being very active and fit. Quite often, I'm sweating and I'm running. And who wants to wear piles or loads of makeup when you want to jump into the pool, right? Or when you want to go run, just think of all of that stuff running down on your collar or especially as a chocolate woman, you go to hug somebody that you really care about, uh, and then you leave a big chocolate face print on their white shirt. So that wasn't fun. It took me years to figure out and to really acknowledge and come to terms and get to the root of what was exacerbating my skin being so broken out. That was very, I'm not gonna lie, it was extremely uncomfortable. That was like the bane of my existence. I mean, I remember saying to myself, I would pay anything. Oh, I would pay anything. Even then, I was doing fitness competitions. I was like, I would give up all the muscle, all the tone just to have clear skin, and at one point it got really, really bad. And I remember training clients at a really high-end gym. And I remember one day I was like, wow, this looks like, to me, it appeared to be such a contradiction for someone that ate so healthily, juiced on a regular, exercised on a regular. And here I'm going into train clients in health and fitness, and it wasn't representative of what I was doing. At the same time, I was eating healthy and juicing, for years. So what was it that was causing all of this acne? And so again, the first question today to consider is, I invite you to consider, because I don't like to tell grown folks what to do, is what do you need your body temple to be able to do for you in the next 10 years, 20 years? I would say even 5 years. For example, do you need your body to be able to run just on a practical level? Run, jump, also play, dance. Will you be pain free? If you're in your 60s and 70s, you want to take a dance class, or you want to go hiking, or maybe now you've booked a trip to Machu Picchu. Can you make it? I went, what do you call it? Zip lining. I went zip lining, which was really, really beautiful in Central America. And there were 3 generations of women that were traveling together. And one of them, she said, call me grandma. She was in her 90s. There were 3 generations of women. And this woman, she was getting down to the crown. I felt like she was getting all of her experiences in. Her toenails were done. She was done. She was comfortable. She was looking very chic. But also, I was like, wow, this woman is out here ziplining in her 90s, challenging herself. Wow. And I've always kept my eyes peeled since a very young woman for women in particular, and some men, but especially as I'm a woman, a chocolate woman, a human, but a chocolate woman. I really needed, I can acknowledge and recognize that I needed to see a woman that looked like me living her best life. And that living her best life did not mean loads of Gina Tay bath splash, and it wasn't, done up, but it wasn't so much about the done up. It wasn't so much about, now the term today is level up, not making that bad or wrong, but I needed to see a chocolate woman running, jumping, playing, dancing, not settling in relationships, treating herself well, feeding herself the best foods. Like when I say the best, I don't mean like I can get the extra large bag of Bonton potato chips, right? And 2 half chicken and pork fried rice, all of which I used to eat. I needed to see someone. I needed so badly, like a plant, like a rose in the desert. I needed so badly to see someone, so desperately to see someone that looked like me living their best life. I needed it. Why? Because representation matters. I was looking for a picture of what the trajectory of my life was going to look like. What is it going to look like as I mature, as I go through the maturation process, when I approach the crone phase. The crone phase, everybody's running like crazy away from the crone phase, which is kind of odd, because even with the best care, I enjoy whole, fresh living, unprocessed foods as a lifestyle, regular movement in the garden. Those are lifestyle practices. Those are the 3 lifestyle practices that have been pretty consistent in my life. And yes, even when I was living in a colder climate, and when I visit a colder climate, I always have a food co-op membership, participate in community gardens, and have grown stuff in buckets and stockings and all kinds of containers. So I don't tell folks what to do, but I'm here to invite you not to give yourself an out, especially not when we have access to social media. If we're not leveraging, this is not to make ourselves bad or wrong. Hopefully you are stimulated to think about possibilities. That's my intention, right? When I come on the internet, and I have little litmus tests. I have little litmus tests that help. They're like my compass to know if I'm on the right track, and they can also give me feedback, right? Because our ego doesn't give us, and we all have one, doesn't give us objective feedback. So one of my litmus tests is when I leave a communication an interaction with someone or something that I'm watching when I'm ingesting information, right? Even though it may be a one-way communication coming, I'm allowing stuff to come in. Am I inspired? Am I inspired to get into action? Immediate action, because there's nothing like immediate action towards a goal. Am I inspired to get into action around the things that I say are core values, around the things that I say are important to me, around the things that I say I aspire to? Am I motivated to get into action? See, I got a lot of little things put in place that work for me. I'm a strategist. And my desire is to be efficient and effective and to get some results, right? As a coach and as a personal trainer, I would say all the time, and trainers have discussions all the time. Especially, I worked at a really wonderful high-end gym. I was surrounded by athletes, so we would compare notes and discuss training sessions and clients and different train together, all different types of athletes. So much fun. And sometimes clients say, like, wow, you're a client so-and-so. Wow, her body's really changing. Oh, wow, she looks fantastic. And like, what are they doing? We would observe and ask each other questions and look at each other's training programs and approaches to people with injuries. It was really like chef's kiss in terms of the types of people that I've surrounded myself with and the environments I've surrounded myself with. So the results, there's something that you can measure. There's actually a science to results, right? If we're not getting the results that we desire, then something is missing. Doesn't make us bad or wrong, but I've observed patterns because I'm an observer of patterns. That means that there's a blind spot that's missing. And it's easy to placate ourselves and high five each other on complacency or not getting results. But aren't you curious? I know I was curious the first time I went to a gym. I did African dance. I wasn't thinking so much about fitness. I just did it purely because I enjoyed it. But if I saw somebody else who looked really, really fit, which I saw, I'm like, if I'm here all the time, right, and I'm moving all the time, how come my body looks like this and their body looks like that? There must be something. And this is a principle that I figured out at a young age. There must be something that I'm not aware of. So what do I do as someone, an avid person that hangs out at the library? I research and I go looking for information, right? And I remember many years ago on my first income tax checks, I asked questions. Somebody pointed me to this person and that person and that person. And I wound up getting a personal trainer. And I remember they put me on the steering wheel. I was like, it looked like it was nothing. Oh my gosh, was that an epiphany? I got introduced to fitness and on another level and bodybuilding. And I discovered a whole other science, right? I discovered a different way to change and to shift my body composition and my performance. Plus, the tremendous boost that it gave me to my self-esteem, right? That sense of accomplishment. I would have loved to have been an athlete as a child, though that wasn't introduced to me. So another principle I figured out as an adult when I started making my own money, not to hold my parents hostage for what they didn't provide, because they provided a lot and it just wasn't on their radar. So I could give myself different types of experiences. Ballet as an adult, learning to ride a bicycle in traffic, roller skating, charm school, all of those things I took myself to. I wanted to have those experiences, right? So I empowered myself with my own narrative. These are certain consistent principles. Somehow I figured out through reading, asking questions, and through a sincere desire to understand before I could really articulate it. I am fascinated by self-sabotage. I am fascinated by self-sabotage. I'm fascinated by humans I said we want to have certain experiences, goals. Why some people financially have certain experiences, some people don't. There's a myriad of reasons. But more so than even just fiat currency, why we do things to ourselves that are actually very damaging and hurtful, and also to each other, to our children, spouses. I'm fascinated. It never made sense to me as a child. And I'm also fascinated by self actualization. And self actualization, where does that show up for me? Sprinters is a great example, right? Flojo, or when I was growing up there with the Colgate games, right? In the inner city. I didn't get to participate, but when I first moved to another neighborhood, that was new to me. My cousins, they would go to the park and they had these races. And so my cousins were there. So I just jumped into a race to participate. I'm doing trying to fit in. I'll never forget, I came in last. Oh my gosh, I never forgot that. And I was like, how come I'm last? That always stayed with me. Why am I last? Is something wrong with me? So that stayed on my radar and piqued my interest. By the time I got to high school, and I had a gym teacher that was making a square dance, which I thought was boring, then had us running around the high school outside in New York City. It sparked my curiosity to go back to the same track where I came in last, and to see if I could run around that track. Not trying to be fit or anything, but I just wanted to see if I could do it on my own. And I kept going back. None of my friends wanted to go with me. So I discovered, again, a principle that here was something that I could do to challenge myself by myself, even if my friends didn't want to come along. Right. And then I remember once there was this little island that had a lighthouse on it. And I was scared to go by myself. Nobody wanted to go with me. And one day I was like, okay, I got myself up to going around this little track in the park. I think several times, maybe 5 times. And I was like, I wonder if I can make it to that lighthouse. I was a little scared, but I decided to run to this lighthouse. I jogged to this little lighthouse. I ran all the way to the tip of this lighthouse. And the feeling of exhilaration, of discovery, of accomplishment. All I did was a little jog to this island. But the fact that I went by myself when nobody else came with me, the view was absolutely beautiful. I could come back again. That was paradigm shifting for me. That shifted. That was an activity that I initiated myself. That shifted a whole paradigm for me. That actually really I encourage myself to, because that's the principle, to start going out and discovering things on my own, even when nobody around me wanted to do those things. That's how I've ended up in so many courses, education, things that are on my radar that I had a curiosity about. Again, being fascinated by self-sabotage and limiting beliefs and self-abuse, and then also self-actualization. I'm the child that wondered, how do I know the pictures inside the geography book are real? How do I know Alaska is real? That somebody's not just showing me a picture. So I want to go see with my own eyes. So over the years of movement and exercise and training in African dance, I always found it interesting that clients would come in and just, oh, it's a drag. I don't feel like working out. I have to. Oh, I got this diagnosis, so I guess this is what I have to do. And I remember thinking in my mind, wow, I'm super excited that I made it to the lighthouse, that this is making me feel so good and empowered. Then it started to change my body. So my whole thinking and approach was like, wow, this is the best kept secret, that they were having a whole nother experience, that it seemed like a drag, like too much work, like a turnoff. And I'm excited that I get to move. I get to feel powerful. My body's changing. That's just a plus. But psychologically, the biggest thing, how it made me feel, the ability to bust open paradigms and limiting beliefs. That is what most people will call exercise. I will call a personal movement practice. A personal movement practice. I would even say a vigorous, joyous personal movement practice. Sometimes it's really challenging. I've also had been blessed to have a godmother who I adopted as my godmother, who has so many godchildren, who used to kick my butt. Like I couldn't even keep up with her. And I'm thinking, like, how much older is this woman than me? I used to be so confused. I was so confused. I can go, I can bust a number, I can dance. But I was like the warm-up before African dance class. I was so thoroughly confused. How come I'm dying? How come I cannot keep up with this woman? That really messed my head up. I was like, I don't understand why can't I do what this woman can do? I wasn't dramatically overweight, at the time, but I just could not understand. So again, it piqued my interest, right? So my eyes were like this. What is she drinking? What is she reading? What is she doing? I'm the person, I'm unapologetic. I have adopted numerous elders. I've apprenticed. I was willing to sweep floors, straighten up papers, pay for workshops, and I received so much, and I'm so clear about certain things, in particular results. So again, I ask you, consider what is it that you need your body to do for you in the next 10, 20, 30 years? Can you get out of harm's way? Can you get your loved ones out of harm's way? Can you put up a good fight? Can you inflict a consequence on a predator? I mean, I'm a realist. I'm the most fruit and vegetable loving, peaceful consumer you ever want to meet. But with wisdom of life experience, I'm also very much a realist, and I understand that predators only understand consequences. Greetings, Donna. A morning, beautiful. Batch juicing while watching. Yes, see, that's what's up. That's what's up. Donna is over here batch juicing while tuning. This is how I get down. If we're not in action, what are we doing? Are you leveraging for my younger flowers or my younger persons out there? We give birth to daughters and sons, right? I'm a mother. So I definitely care about both. So if you're not getting into action and you're not leveraging your time on the internet, do you consider that the non-renewable resource of your time, it's currency? It may not occur to you. Maybe these are advanced concepts if you're 16, 17. And how do we know this? Because we give it away for free. What is the most precious, right? There's something called data mining. As we sit on these computers, now it's AI intelligence. What you click on, what you like, there's a whole menu of things that come up that are catered just to your interests. Just to your interests. If you like natural hair, if you like fitness, if you like sitcoms, if you like gossip shows, they're catered to you. You know that information, how you spend your time here, is sold to companies so that companies understand what products to market to you. And in today's social media climate, many companies now go directly to quote unquote influencers or people who have an audience, right? For example, someone, now I get folks coming onto my page with wigs, and I'm not here to shame anybody for what you eat or how you wear your hair. I had a Jerry curl and a gold tooth, and all of who you are is not what you look like. It's just, it doesn't work. It's not efficient or effective, right? So anyway, folks will approach me about selling their jewelry or selling their trinkets. To be quite honest, I don't use that stuff. So I can't, in good faith, I can't sell it because I don't use it. And it's not an integrity. I've used every protein powder on the market. I don't use protein powders. I don't take any vitamins. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't have any products in my hair. I threw the shower caddy in the garbage. That's me. You may be at a different space in your journey. I threw it in the garbage. Why did I throw it in the garbage? Because I felt suffocated by too much stuff. I remember being frantically getting to the beauty supply store before it closed to get more baubles, more things in my hair. And I still like to put flowers and stuff in my hair. But more stuff. I felt like I was paying rent for a storage space of more stuff that there's not enough days for me to wear all that stuff. So much to maintain. It just psychologically had me mentally, emotionally tapped out. And I enjoy fashion. But looking at patterns, all of that stuff, the Enrico Kwasapeacefull coat. I remember I had a shearling, a purple floor-length shearling, like a patent leather on the outside. That was a fabulous coat. Where's that coat? Where is that coat? When I was working in corporate America, that coat is in the garbage or somebody got it. Somebody must have it vintage somewhere. I spent so much money when I got enough money to shop at the seaport back in the day in New York City. Boy, I was buying furniture with an Amex card. Ooh. Oh my gosh, I ran up so much debt. I ran up so much debt. And so, wisdom, distinction between wisdom and information. Today, we are on a sea of information. Information doesn't equate wisdom. And unfortunately, it's not until many of us place our reproductive organs in our bodies in harm's way, or until we do financial damage, right? That's going to affect us into our future. For many of us, many, not exclusive to men, but even young, not exclusive to men, some young women, but many men in desperation or lack of guidance will make certain life decisions, will dramatically alter their ability to fend for themselves in the future. And it's for a reason. I'm always fascinated again by self sabotage and also by self actualization. How about the people that don't seem to have a blockage when it comes to confidence, expressing themselves, putting themselves out there? I'm fascinated. What's the formula? What's the pattern? I'm an observer of patterns. What's happening? There's something happening. There's a pattern. What's the blind spot? What do I need to understand so I can make the best possible decisions for myself? Right? So today, the question is, what's the disconnect? In particular, when it comes to your physical health and your fitness, right? So I get body positivity, as I mentioned before. Again, I've been in the industry. I can tell you from my experience, I come from a family pattern of self-medicating with food, especially amongst the women, but it's not exclusive to women, but mostly women self-medicating with food and also observing a lot of drug and alcohol abuse. And the distinction with the abuse, right? Because there's everyone said I social drink or whatever part of the economic spectrum you're on. Some where depending on where you are, some people don't get the stigma. But I always wondered, again, with my inquiring mind, what's the point at which the social drinking becomes, it flips over into alcoholism? Do you ever question this stuff? Do y'all remember the first time you ever tried a cigarette? I've never been a cigarette drinker and not enticed to or smoke. I do remember there was a group of girls sneaking to try cigarettes when they used to sell Lucy's back in the days. I don't know if y'all can relate. Sneaking to do what grown folks were doing. I just thought it was absolutely disgusting. I'd rather have some candy and some potato chips, some penny candies, right? So what is the point at which these very unpleasant habits that they switch over to become chemically and physiologically addictive to where you can't stop? In addition to, and I'm very humble, as a human species, I'm very clear. We mimic and we copy. We do groupthink. I know a lot of us, even with our degrees and extra, we like to think that we don't, but just look, how else could we be putting ourselves in harm's way? So self-sabotage, there's a lot of conditioning going on there. And I am not one for embracing a disempowering narrative. That's not to be dismissive of what we've experienced, right? Many of us humans have experienced a lot of trauma. However, I think it's for us to be very, very mindful and careful of the language, right? Not lying to ourselves, but we make all of who we are, our identity, what has happened to us. It has a tendency to cut off our ability to see possibilities for ourselves. And then you don't even realize when it's time to get into action around things you say you'd like to experience, right? Discipline of studying or a new body or something. You don't have the mental focus, the mental energy. You feel disempowered, depressed, down. You can't seem to muster up enough energy to maintain focus and consistency. I think we don't realize we're losing the ability to focus. Literally, for our brains to be able to focus, and we're being encouraged more than ever. I always think of the opium wars. Look it up. With the amount of stress and constant triggering, without making ourselves bad or wrong, it makes sense that folks want to medicate. It makes sense. Though medication is not resolving the issue. Self-medicating and getting a small temporary brain altering our brain chemistry temporarily is not resolving the problem. That is not nutrition. It's just my brain. I think of Grandma Lou. Think very, very simply. That is not nourishing my brain. I'm artificially altering. Again, I'm not making wrong anyone that's taking medications. You're on your path. You're going to have to find what works for you. Yet I question solutions that will give me 10, 15, 20 more problems. I can also recognize that a natural lifestyle, natural modalities, they may seem to take longer. Like when my skin was full of marks and hyperpigmentation and whiteheads, and I was eating healthy. All of that stuff, all of that years of stuff I came to terms with, it had to come out. I wasn't trying to hear that, right? So that principle of somebody offering me a get out of jail free card, AKA, you don't have to be accountable for all that you have done to your body, for all the decisions that you have made. I'm very aware. I'm very keen to that pattern. Even so-called well-meaning people, because we like company in the things that we're doing. I love company, but I'm okay with doing things on my own. I love company when it comes to the movement practice, but I know you got to get up early in the morning. By the way, are y'all getting up early? 5 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. And it used to be 4. During the panoramic, yeah, it was 4 o'clock. I'm up at 4. Does mean that I need to go to bed earlier, but that's okay because I'm very clear. I'm not missing anything. You see, that's the difference with wisdom. So much information is out here and entertainment. I find that a lot of it, without a full perspective, it weakens us, right? Because we're enticed to escapism. I'm human. I'm not immune. However, I'm an observer of patterns and wisdom to be able to look at the long-term effects of something. For example, if there is a medication that, and for years, there's these quick little speaking voiceovers. This medication is going to cause heart failure, congenital heart failure, liver complications. It never made sense to me. You can put graphic pictures of people, their lungs and their face destroyed with cigarettes, and still, as humans, we will take in substances like, meth and other things that will destroy our looks. Y'all don't find that fascinating? That's not fascinating? I'm like, wow. Wow. But it's for a reason. No one does something without a reason. And so in 30 plus years, I've been able to distinguish it's trauma. It's trauma. It's trauma. And as someone that was raised in a very religious family, again, as a child, I was just watching. If church is more important than school, and we're at church all the time, and it's always 40-day consecration fast, why is everybody getting bigger and bigger? It didn't seem to make sense to me. Even as a young person, I wasn't being sassy. I had some questions. I asked my mother. My mother told me to ask the pastor who became the bishop. And I went and bought him a copy of my little book back in the day, Heal Thyself. I bought copies and gave to everybody as a young person because I just couldn't understand it. It didn't make sense to me. And again, my roots were, what's going to be my trajectory? I saw my mom in her little poodle skirt and her saddle shoes. Is that going to be me? I never thought that my mom would become unhealthy. And I love my mom. She'd give me plenty of gifts. But there are distinct patterns in my family. And so all of who the person is not our physical weight. Yet I can distinguish the patterns of how we are self-soothing and self-medicated with, as I would say, I have my own little narrative because I like to choose. I make the effort to choose words carefully for clarity. Why? Because clarity is worth its weight in gold. The self-medicating is a form of soothing ourselves, and we become physiologically and chemically dependent, and it is also socially acceptable, especially amongst women. And let's not forget, we have all of these shining faces on the packages when you go into the stores, right? So we're not crazy. Actually, I heard someone say something, is this term that came out, what's it called? Orthorexic. I was like, orthorexic. They got a label for everything. Be careful of labeling yourself. I like to distinguish behavior. Be careful of the saying I am this and I am that. The behavior may be one thing, but all that labeling, no bueno. It's disempowering. So, this term orthorexic is a fear. Everything is fear based. Fear of eating anything unhealthy. Fear of sign me up for that. Because it's somebody that was addicted to junk, whose face was looking like the sidewalk, who was on a trajectory of being obese, who can still gain weight very easily. I have half of a thyroid. My body temperature runs cold. That conditioning to self-soothe when as stress, that's a reflex that's there. It's taken a lot of education and replacing a lot of non-beneficial habits to shift that, to shift my paradigm with some of the things, walking down Notion Avenue, pardon the roosters, walking down Notion Avenue and smelling, glorious curry and fried chicken. It's amazing to me, without judging it, that there has been an interrupt in my reaction to those things. Where I used to be like, oh gosh, that smells good. I can appreciate the curry, but now I can smell old oil. It occurs to me differently. And that has been through a process of having different experiences, different education, lots of hands-on education. That's what has allowed me to shift my reaction in terms of self-soothing, right? The fact I don't have any junk food in my house, that may not be a big deal to anyone else, but I was a junk food addict and then a health junk addict. And my skin was looking like the sidewalk. And I'm sure my liver was taking a beating. So for those of you who may or may not know, the liver is responsible for metabolizing fat, adipose tissue, and it filters out lots of poisons. The organs get no play. Everybody wants the muscle and the skin. The organs get no play. That doesn't make one iota sense. We leave school without really understanding how our bodies function. We definitely haven't been encouraged to understand how our psyche functions. How we respond to trauma. Look up the practice of animal husbandry. How can you get an animal, an elephant or a lion, to do tricks? That's a whole science. Many of us don't realize that the science of altering an animals, and we are human animals. There are some distinctions, though we're still human animals. Not to use that as an excuse to stay complacent with non-beneficial habits. Though we're not encouraged to understand the process of conditioning. People say programming. I would say conditioning, because when you use language that's empowering, it opens possibilities for you to be accountable and responsible with your actions. That's where it makes the difference. I need to know, after all the rhetoric and all this stuff, the research, what do I need to do now? What can I do? What do I have access to? What can I do consistently that's going to yield me a result? I just need to wrap my mind around where I'm at, clearly assess what the challenge or the problem is, so I can be about knowing what's going to be my approach to an efficient, effective, sustainable solution. Does that make sense? I don't mature and be sometimes a little like antsy and maybe a little irritated because I make the effort to take my time in choosing my words. Because it's easy to throw lots of words out there. And as one of my young flowers said, I don't understand that. I don't understand it. Could you make it more plain? You're making it. So I make the effort to paint the example so we can know what is there I need to do, rather than talking around something or talking about something. I want to be able to clearly assess what the challenge or the problem is. If you can't acknowledge that there's something off, or you have a lackluster or non-desirable result, or that you're uncomfortable, if you don't like your situation, if you do not acknowledge your problem, if it's a addiction or a fixation that's unhealthy for you, it's likely you will not be able to access or come up with an effective, efficient, sustainable solution. That's a formula. That's a principle, right? And I love principles over people and personalities. So you can take that and you can run with it, right? If you don't acknowledge there's a problem, you don't have access to change it. What problem? Right? Remember back in the, well, y'all may not remember the cigarette commercials back in the day where somebody had a hole in their throat and they would put the cigarette to the hole in their that commercial absolutely, I was horrified. Why would somebody do that? I remember seeing people back in the days that would take heroin. They got so many new drugs now, I can't even keep up with them. And their hands were big, swollen with boxing gloves, and you can see the needle marks here. When they couldn't, I guess, get any more needles there, they put them somewhere else. I'm as a child with wide eyes, and I'm like, wow, like why? I'm scared of needles. Why would you do that? Interesting species we are. Interesting species. So not everyone wants to have this conversation. Folks definitely don't want to hear this from a child. I'm just asking questions. Then I'm being told that I'm sassy. But I was able to distinguish that somehow all the church that we were going to, I figured this out as a child, didn't seem to be enough to help people neutralize and manage the intangibles, the things that you couldn't see, the emotional, mental pain, right, of trauma. Somehow it didn't hit the spot, right? Why was grandpa drinking? Oh, he was in a couple of wars. He saw dead bodies. They don't talk about that stuff. Oh, that's why he drinks. So I didn't have to make him bad or wrong. For some reason, I figured out as a child, I seek understanding and comprehension, because I figured if I understand the why, then I'm more likely to be able to make a different type of decision. Does this make sense? Put a one. As my sister would say, put a one in here. So I'm not just chit chatting myself. Put a one if this makes sense to you. So on this channel, my channels, I usually share some of my journey of radical self-acceptance. This has been a journey of a return to natural for over 30 something years. So I've had, I cut my hair bald once, and I had a low peach fuzz with designs in it. I've had a lot of fun with my natural hair. So locks is something new for me. I never wanted locks, my hair locked while I was traveling. And I decided, you know what, instead of trying to pick it out, which I kept doing with the safety pin because I didn't want locks, as my hair is very fine, I decided to embrace it. And again, just go along to see what would happen. I only have about 31 locks. But I figured, you know what? I used to twist it. And so you can see down here that my hair is very fine. Some people say your hair is not fine. What I mean by fine, I only have 31 locks. Look, this is two together. This is most of my hair. So it's fine. So they're all flat. And I'm not running away from that. I'm embracing that. Why? Because I like to take a lot of things off the table, right? So I'm not worried about hair. I'm not twisting. I'm definitely not running to the beauty supply store. I'm not anti-makeup or beauty, though I am intentional about as much as I'm able to, right? Things can still happen. Being cancer-free, being pain-free. I want to be able to enjoy my body temple when I'm senior, when my hair, hold on, let's get some water in a wine glass. I want to enjoy my body. I want to be pain-free. Working as a personal trainer, working in a holistic health center, I sat on the other side of consultations of many people. The doctor said, I can't do anything else for you. That's when they turn to holistic health. That's a pattern. That's a pattern. And so many of us, we follow the social narrative. I can admit it. Whatever most people are doing, that's what we're doing. That's how I had a Jerry curl and a gold tooth. I didn't know anything about that. I had my little box braids. I didn't know anything about that until I came in contact with folks in public school. My hair was fine and it was healthy. But then once you go to public school and you start getting teased, and we can say children are cruel, but where are the children picking it up from? So there was a beautiful little girl I've mentioned before in my neighborhood. Oh my gosh, this girl is cute as a butt. She was so stunning. She was a little princess with a little short afro. And boy, did she get teased. She had a beautiful, thick little short afro, right? What people call today a TWA. Stunning. And she got teased, ridiculed so bad when she was stunning. Stunning. Maybe that's many of our experiences. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the chat. I remember, I didn't have fancy clothes. When I was growing up, I just went to the library and came back home. I was lucky if I got to go outside and jump double dutch. So I didn't have fancy clothes. When I reached a certain age and I got my first jobs, I was eager to work for myself, make my own money and buy my own clothes, take that stress off my mom. I started discovering fashion, going to different neighborhoods and dressing differently and stuff. All of a sudden, I'm getting noticed by people that never spoke to me before. I suppose my body was starting to change too. But I remember thinking, wow, distinctly, does this guy not remember who I am? This guy's speaking to me. This guy never gave me the time of day before. I never forgot that. You're speaking to me now. People would ask my big brother, about what's up with your sister? And my brother was like, don't mess with my sister. See, I come from that age where brothers were very protective. Don't you see my sister? Don't mess with my sister. I don't know what happened now. People are watching all kind of stuff on their cell phone, but that's another story. So I just came from another time. I was dressing differently. I started to get attention. I've never forgot people were speaking to me that never gave me the time of day because of how I looked. Same person that was sharing my candy or whatever, sharing my little books that nobody was interested in. But all of a sudden you're getting played based on how you looked. And then one of my homies, I had two best friends in junior high school. Around 14, I remember she came back from Christmas vacation pregnant. And I was so naive or whatever. And we were like, wow, what were you eating over the Christmas holiday? Wow, why did she get so green as ever? Clueless. Clueless and naive. Clueless and naive. So many poor decisions made in ignorance. So that's something I'm also very passionate about, is that, when I think of young people today, the younger generation, I'm still pretty young myself, but when I think of the younger generation, I'm like, wow, what are the chances that the average young person will make it out of their 20s without a life-altering STD? I also reason that a lot of young people, I don't know how young men, it's relevant too, they process a little different, still all humans. Everybody's faking, fronting, and pretending out here, putting on this brave, through the music, being very braggadocious. Yet I don't know that many people, it seems like we go from braggadocious to the other extreme of depression. I've never heard it. I've never seen so many young people depressed and so open to medication, not making it bad or wrong, out of desperation. It seems to me that, and I've noticed this for years before it became popular, it seems that medication has become the substitute for human care, right? And consideration and having functional parents. And that's not everybody's story. So I figured out many years ago that I'm on my own, and I accept accountability and responsibility, right? Donna's over there juicing. I take my chances with my juicer and the wisdom I've gotten from my grandma Lou, who said, eat your own food. I'm going to take my chances with that because I don't have a desire to be on the whole stroll with medications. And that is unfortunately going to be the trajectory for many of us. Pain is very, very humbling. Pain is very humbling. Like, I just observe patterns. I don't know if any of y'all can relate, if any of you have older parents. I look at some of the elder generation, they're basically money machines, even in different kinds of neighborhoods, people, in lower income neighborhoods. But the vouchers for shoes, toothpaste, glasses, it's a business. The home care workers, it's a business and an industry. So what would it take for me not to be the battery? I'm not interested in being the battery. As much as I can, to the best of my ability. Again, I could be eating living foods and doing all this fitness and something can still happen. Yet some people say we all got to die anyway. I'm not interested in the victim narrative. It's so unfortunate that is embraced, right? Where folks would give themselves an out, give each other an out, allow very valid excuses to run the trajectory of our lives to determine our results. We high five on it. We're telling each other we look bad. And I don't think we ever need to shame ourselves or others, because you know what? I'm not interested in doing things that don't work. Has it worked? Look around. Has all the shaming, has it worked? Making people feel like crap about themselves. Does that work? No. Though that doesn't mean I think we should go to the other end of complacency, right? For example, all the body positivity. I think it's great. I think you should love and respect the body that you have, though. Distinction, affection, and enjoying your body temple. When we are lulled into through all the conditioning from social media into complacency around our numbers, not thinking about what we need our bodies to be able to do for us when we're older, And it's known that the comorbidities, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, go with having unhealthful adipose tissue. That's not the only thing. Even if you're very slim, one of my uncles had an amputation. He wasn't overweight, he was diabetic, and he had an amputation. What about if we look at the numbers that Afro people, especially in the Americas, African American, did? I heard news reports internationally. The way we were and have been disproportionately affected during a so-called panoramic due to our lifestyle practices. There's so much, it's clear. By now, it's clear. So I'm very wary of anything that would lull me into complacency. That's a pattern. Somebody offer me a solution that's going to give me 10 more problems. There's no way around finding the correct amount to eat. Not too much, not too little. There's no way around nutrient dense foods. There's no way around, just my little 2 cents, leaving out the things that are self-harming. There's no way around it. There's no shortage of companies and people that are going to offer you, that you will pay for, a solution to lull you into complacency. I hope that this communication is valuable for you today. So I can't see, yes, the labels and are lies. The most I says I am. 1 in a million Black women who really look like themselves and not some made up body. Well, this is what I look like, and I'm okay with that. I'm also here. I'm very, very clear. I'm very clear. I'm not here to shame anybody that's done an alteration to themselves, because you have the right to express your body however you want. Hopefully, though, we're not creating permanent damage, right? So again, wisdom, information. I've heard lots of young women on the internet say that they've researched a lot of surgeries before they get it. And the research consists of, right, distinction, consists of asking other random strangers online what their procedure was like. See, that would not be efficient or effective. And that's where each generation has their challenges. And that's a fact. Though it's not an efficient vetting process. So vetting. What is a vetting process? I didn't know what a vetting process was as a young woman. I learned that as an adult. What is a vetting? Vetting is doing thorough research, right? Thorough. For example, I know numerous people that have had bypasses, gastric bypasses, and stomach surgeries to shrink their stomach to help them with weight loss. So years ago, when I've had discussions of people that were considering the procedure, not making it right or wrong, but I'm a researcher, I said, let me see if I can find somebody that has had the procedure, what they look like 5-10 years down the line, right? I could also, and the people that I knew personally that had these surgeries, I didn't observe that they had any extensive counseling. I also didn't observe that they shifted their mindset around food intake and made distinctions around what caused their body to respond by holding on to excess adipose tissue and what is at the root of the patterns of how we're choosing what we're putting in our mouths. Does this make sense? So when I researched, and this I found years ago on YouTube, I found that people that had the surgeries gained all the weight back. People that I spoke to personally who had procedures done, initially they released a lot of weight. And I like to make distinctions with weight. And we talk about that in the coaching and fitness every morning at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I found they gained the weight back, but also some of them had issues with their hair falling out. Hair falling out from nobody talks about that. Why? The gut. By now, if there's enough information, the gut is a huge part of our the gut, the flora, the bacterium, the terrain of your gut inside of your intestines, right? It's a huge part of your immune system. One of my homies, we both eat whole living foods. She had a procedure done with her tooth, and so that levels the playing field. One reason I don't take medication, if I ever need to, I want my body to respond. So the two of us, we don't take drugs. All right, but toothache can humble the playing field, right? So they gave her an antibiotic. We eat living foods, right? So constipation is just not a thing over here. Her system shut down. We were like, wow. Wow. That so imagine if people are constantly, I know people are constantly taking antibiotics out of fear, constantly giving the children antibiotics. A lot of it is out of fear. Again, I can't tell grown folks what to do. But that's where your immune system, it's the foundation of your immune system. No one's considering the gut. And if anything, catching on to some quick trends, will go out and spend money on these expensive prebiotics, postbiotics, not considering what's the food source. What do people do? I have always wondered, how did you get it in the pill? How did you manufacture it? Is it synthetic? Is it chemical? How did it get in the pill? And what did people do before? So it's led me down a rabbit hole of research, continuous research till today, over 30 something years. And I feel intuitively like Grandma Lou, I shouldn't have to be paying $30, $40 on a pill. It's cost prohibitive for many people. And there are many traditional indigenous peoples that don't have their problems with their gut. They're not even vegan or vegetarian. So I'm always looking, and I have a tendency to study both sides of the fence. Me, I don't care what label you are. I'm looking at the results, the long-term results, and then I add my intuition and my own research into it, right? It's called common sense, confidence and common sense, and being willing to explore, being willing to experiment, right? And common sense, for example, Red Bull and caffeine, although the smells lovely of coffee, is not a substitute for sleep. See, these are principles. Red Bull, 5-hour energy drink, or whatever the new terms are, that now you can get in a little deli. It's not a replacement for sleep. See, it just with these little principles can help you have a paradigm shift. People are struggling to achieve a healthy weight. Do you know your body can achieve a healthy weight if you just stop putting substances, as I call them, substances masquerading as food. Part of your mouth, flavor for your nerves, right? Taking somebody to eat Pringles. Ooh, I used to love the Pringles, Doritos, until I realized what the flavoring agent was. It was MSG, right? And also a lot of these spices are used to mask cheap ingredients. So as I've said to many people, I've mourned the loss of many a food. I was in mourning. I didn't want to give it up. But then also, fortunately, I'm very creative, and I knew that I had to find other things to eat that I can enjoy while everybody's whipping out the McDonald's. That's the only way that I have been able to sustain this lifestyle for over 12, going to 13 years. And even before then, coming out of high school, was vegan, vegetarian, always a focus on health. You know, my son's dad was big on health. That's why I chose him, because he was big on health. That's a core value for me. And it's very, very important, the value of health. And I realized that I'm on my own. So I have chosen to take 110% responsibility for my health. And what that looks like, it's not in words. I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And with no exercise, no challenge, no consistent exercise, no way to measure my results. Right? So I ask you, do you have ways to measure? Do you have anything in place to measure your effectiveness, right? How can you know that what you're doing is working? I would say most women give up after what I say. I did that, I took that class, I did this, I don't have the results, right? Clients, whether they were unhealthy, underweight, overweight, or in between, everybody says they eat healthy, right? I've had clients well over 300 pounds, and everybody will say, I don't hardly eat. So I'll be fascinated, like, wow. So that's why I'm an avid researcher. And I found if I was to follow people around with a camera for a day, I could see why we have the results that we have. There are a lot of times we don't realize, okay, we've gotten excited. Now we got a quick cleansing program or doing a juice. That doesn't wipe away all the things we've done for so many years to our bodies. So many years to our bodies. There's so much that is nuanced. Even a lot of the trauma-based decisions that we're making. Comes around through the back door. And toxic relating that we do. Do you realize that it affects your choices in food? The things that we would choose to self-soothe? So I invite you not to make yourself bad or wrong. I invite you to have a healthy curiosity around why we're choosing what we're choosing. How is it the companies understand our psyche and what will trigger our behavior more than us, right? So there's no end to the fright and fear, which is very effective at getting you to clear off the shelves of any given product at a time. So I say we're on our own. And I like to have a lot of fun. Fun works, right? Because if I came over to your house right now and I was sharing a live strawberry apple pie, which would be going, we'd be licking the pan. We wouldn't have a whole lot of dishes to wash. We would jump in double dutch, having fun, putting our hands in the soil. It would be a no-brainer. That actually would be ideal. So it's one of the reasons why I love to come together around activities. Those leverage, giving you much more back for the investment of your time, your energy, and your attention, are peaceful consumption, aka food that demonstrates that it loves you back. Not clogging your arteries, not clogging your colon, not clogging up your pores, not taxing your liver, not taxing your immune system, and still taste delicious. It's totally possible. Ask me how I know. Peaceful consumption, garden therapy. Yes, everybody can grow something. Yes, you may not be aware, so ask some questions, do some research. Trust me, I'm gardening with people all the time from around the world. Are you leveraging the internet? Right? And a daily personal movement practice. Years ago, my research, I will never forget researching that exercise was, I remember reading this book, exercise is just as effective as psychotherapy. I read that years ago. Had to be like 20 years ago. Boom, that's all you need to tell me. Something to make me feel good, get my brain chemistry up, always being preemptive. It is much more effective to avoid certain issues in your body than to try to do the repair work, because we already have so much that we're working against. So once you can wrap your mind around it, once you can wrap your mind and get clear, clarity, I say it all the time, is worth its weight in gold. Once you get clear, as I've said to certain people, when you get really clear, people couldn't pay you to eat certain things. Because certain things I would eat, vegan in a health food store, I could feel the pimples coming. I could feel them coming. So what do you need your body to be able to do for you? What's the disconnect? If you have the information, you got the heart rate monitors, you got new sneakers, you got a bicycle, you got a Peloton, you have all the stuff. What's the disconnect? Without shaming yourself, what is the blockage? Here is where you can really do some effective journaling. What is blocking you from getting into action? So we don't necessarily want to stay in rumination, obsessing about the problem without getting into action. Another social habit, ruminating, overthinking. Sometimes, many times, people are waiting for motivation. I'll give you a little secret. If you get through the movement practice or the exercise, you have leveraged exponential motivation. You get even more than you could even imagine after the workout. That's a big top secret. Why? Because subconsciously, psychologically, you start to restore integrity. If you want to know a way to really dramatically improve your esteem, I'm not talking about, I've been in gyms for years and been around my fellow competitors and stuff like that. Oh, crab, most muscular and posing. That's not what I'm talking about, because I used to feel after a while like this is an insane asylum. Because having a fabulous ripped up body does not mean that you have character, right? But it's bigger than what you look like. That's just a fringe. That's just a benefit. But the integrity that you restore by starting to honor your word to yourself, it makes you carry yourself differently. You're less likely to put yourself in harm's way. The more you invest, when you really invest in something, that's why people don't take care of things they get from the 99-cent store. So the more you make tangible, measurable investments into yourself consistently, the results are coming. But before the results, you have a dramatic shift in your esteem. When you start to take and pay money for coaching, for training, getting up at 0 o'clock, you're less likely to want to put junk in your body. The conditioning is still there, But that's where the big shift occurs. You can't intellectualize that away. You can't read 20 million books and buy more gadgets. That's one of the intangibles. That's one of the nuances of shifting and dramatically altering your body, which is dramatically altering the trajectory of your life. But it's not just the body, it's getting this, organizing this stuff in your brain so you can see how to proceed. Did this make sense? So feel free to comment before I get up off of here because I have classes this Sunday. Of course, we're going to get into the garden. Shout out. Yeah. So thank you for the positive vibes. I enjoy my skin. I enjoy my hair. This is like an epiphany to me. I don't have to do anything. I call this freedom hair. That's what this is for me. And some folks would say protective styling. I'm calling this restful styling. Restful psychologically and restful mechanically to my very fine hair. Who knew? I don't even need products. It's like an epiphany. So consider going down a rabbit hole. You have nothing to lose. There's not when somebody invites me to a waterfall or to go to a canoe or whatever out in the rain, bye. I'm gone. I'm not thinking about hair. It's off the table. It's off the table, waiting for validation from products or other. It's off the table. Off the table. I'm not changing this for any. This is a done deal. We're not altering this, right? If it's so delicate, if most of the people on YouTube have confirmed that their hair is all damaged after color, then obviously that's not a route that I want to go down. Now, again, you may want to explore different things. That is your right. So only you can say what are the core values or the things that are really important for you. I prioritize movement because it is so deeply therapeutic. I want to be able to roll on the floor, do yoga, go from one activity to another. I want to be pain-free in my body. I want to move and have fun expressing my body. So that's a priority. So I can't have hair holding me back. Even when I did have oil in my locks, for it to be heavy, it felt like I had a carpet on my back when I'm sweating, when I'm exercising. So this is carefree. It's not contributing to acne with lots of oil in my face. By the way, if you've had a lot of acne as I have had, again, only 100%. People keep asking me, it's 100%, not 80, not 90, 100% whole living unprocessed foods. That and daily sweaty movement. That's what cleared up my skin. That's what did it. That's the truth. So I did document that before my hair locked, my very fine hair, and natural beauty, no products. You can see the foods that, if I can't eat it, I don't like to put it on my skin. Keeps things really nice and simple. For those folks that do use makeup, there are more non-toxic. I find it's a little more costly. They're more non-toxic nail polishes. There was one young lady that referred one to me. Every now and then I like to do my toes. But I also like to look at my toes and my fingernails because it's telling me a lot about my health. So I definitely want to see and know and be present to what is happening inside my body. Your stomach, your energy level, your elimination, your body odor is all a communication. Your body, your organs are trying to get your attention, and we don't want to wait until we're being wheeled into an operating room to try to start making deals with God because it's not sincere and it's not sustainable and it's not effective. It's late, right? Healing and health is cumulative. So is dis-ease, right? And so many folks don't have the wiggle room, right? We're taking some drugs that are dramatically altering our brains and our organs, right? These are things we're not considering as we're being gaslit and, gaslit and fear driven to make life altering decisions that sometimes you can't come back from. So I asked you today, what is the disconnect? What is the disconnect between health and fitness? Why do we seem to be unable to make lasting changes and to really shift our body composition? What's missing? Is your movement consistent? During the course of the week, we break down and we use the different fitness trackers, all those fancy things that you've invested your money in. Some of us buy all this fancy stuff, don't even know how to use it. It's sitting somewhere in the corner. So I invite you to bring all of those things out and to use the things that you've already invested in. You don't even necessarily have to buy more new stuff, right? There's a lot you can do with a small space. So I invite you if you're committed to it, maybe somebody just needed to show you how. And sometimes folks are like, wow, if I had known this all the time about living foods and fitness, it could be a different ball game. So hopefully this can be a season where you take that off the table, because we have other things to do. We need to be about the business of life. Well, you don't need to, you don't have to do anything. But I like to be about the business of life. There's more travel to be had. There's flowers to watch bloom. Yesterday inside the garden, I made some food for the hummingbirds, and it was just the most magical thing watching the hummingbirds going to eat my food. It's better than the movies, this little garden. So these lifestyle practices, they can give you so much fulfillment, help you restore your calm, restore your nervous system, because our nervous systems are shot through these little trance hypnotic boxes. So only we can choose to curate what we're downloading from these screens. So if you got some value here, feel free to support the channel if you enjoy this content. Again, I share anything having to do with fruits and vegetables, movement, and the garden. It's a lifestyle. It's something that we actually have access to. So check out Body-Culinary on different social media platforms. Okay. Before I forget, for folks that are part of the Flower Fit community, if you're on the YouTube channel, go to the About section. Now, let me just say, because some people say, oh, I reached out. If I cannot identify you, I'm non-negotiable when it comes to my safety and me feeling comfortable on these random screens with strangers. I'm not having a discussion. If you have no avatar, no way to identify, you'll sit there and never land. I desire to feel comfortable in my hair and skin, and safety for myself and young people around me is a non-negotiable. That's not up for a discussion. So however you need to work out your email, your avatar, whatever, however you're communicating so you can be identified. I get the fancy cartoons and pictures. I need to be able to identify some before I let you onto those private platforms. Though there are going to be some classes that are coming up. So there's several classes that are going to be coming up. And there's going to be a series of food preparation classes, whole, fresh, living, unprocessed food. This is for a lifestyle, not a diet. So for those folks that are in Flower Fit, they will have access to a discount. The things we're going to be going over is proteins, fats, carbs, and how is it that you can be able to feel satiated and get balanced nutrition on a regular basis from whole, fresh, living, unprocessed foods. It's actually possible to feel satiated just from the fresh foods. Also, we're going to be doing food preparation. Right? We're not just going to sit around and intellectualize about the food. You're going to put your hand. I like to put my hands in the soil and put your hands in the food. That's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to be able to get to a point where you don't have to be beholden to a recipe. Right? So you're going to learn just like how I learned. I sat down next to my grandma. That's how I learned. Right? That's how I've learned from many mentors. So we're going to be doing proteins, fats, and carbs and whole, fresh, living foods, right? And going over a lot of the blind spots people may not be aware of that may be exacerbating your acne or your bloating, right? Some folks may not understand. They may, especially men and folks that are underweight, have concerns about keeping a healthy weight. Is that possible? Yes, it is. And there are some folks that are concerned about their body balancing out to a healthy weight. So it's really about finding the sweet spot that's for you. So we're going to be doing food preparation and nutrition. We're going to be talking about stress eating. Those of you that have a sweet tooth, we all have a sweet tooth. I think it's this one right here. I'm going to be talking about diabetes, heart disease, the comorbidities, right? And high blood pressure, right? And all of that is directly impacted by your lifestyle, your movement pattern, and how you're releasing stress. So again, we're getting into action. I like to get into action. I don't want to sit around and just talk. I want to be in action, which is actually a lot of fun. And that's how a lot of this stuff is going to stick with you. So more than likely, the classes will be at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. So folks that go to whatever your houses of worship or have the other things to do with your children, those classes will likely be on Sundays. If you're a part of Flower Fit, and if you have a membership to Body-Culinary, there will be a series, and there will be like a big discount for people that commit up front. Oh, also for people, that's what the other thing was. Any of the folks that are in the workout on a daily basis are going to receive a significant discount. And that's for them showing up consistently, right? So you're reaping something off of your investment, and it really takes something. I want to acknowledge people that show up even when it's cold, and being consistent. Shout out to T Ford, who has transformed her body, who was a person that said, I'm not exercising, I'm not doing this, and I'm not doing that. She's an avid researcher, and she gets up early. She's there consistently. Her body, not just weight, her body composition has changed. It's affected her blood pressure. It's affected all of her numbers, right? And I got several girls, women that are not in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and their 50s. Go figure. So again, I ask you, what do you need your body to be able to do for you the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years? I'm very serious. I don't know about you. So there's definitely going to be a discount for those folks that show up to the workout. It's not about the food or the fitness. They go hand in hand. And then there's your rest and your recovery. So I'm big on comprehensive education. If you stay in the conversation, right, you stay engaged in activities. My grandma used to say, you stay busy, stay out of trouble. If you stay in the conversation, you will dramatically alter your body. Saving all that time from traveling to and from the gym. All you need is a space with your mat. I make recommendations for you for your home gym. And I think there's one other thing that's coming up. Likely there'll be tickets for a live event, and you can reach out to me if you'd like to participate, where I'm going to be offering a home gym and your home kitchen apothecary makeover. And it's going to be a live event. I love to have a lot of fun. So I'm going to be making some recommendations. You don't necessarily need to get a Peloton and all of that stuff. You'll be amazed at what you can do to transform your body right from your own space. So if you're interested in that live event and tickets, reach out to me, info@body-culinary.com. If you're on the YouTube channel, apply for Flower Fit. I want to encourage young women, right, to get into action, right? Stay busy, stay out of trouble, so you can get a focus. You can make a focus and keep your reproductive organs out of harm's way. Stay busy, stay out of trouble, right? So you can really increase your self-esteem actively. Getting into your garden, finding out resources that are in your neighborhood, right? Getting into your fitness and learning how to nourish yourself with food. These are leverage lifestyle practices. So encourage the young women and girls in your life to participate in Flower Fit. Come and share what you're doing in your garden. There's some lovely women that are doing some great things and discovering a lot and sharing that inside Flower Fit. You're sharing your results from your heart rate monitor with your daily movement and sharing what's happening in your garden, sharing good books. So coming together around specific activities. So I don't leave my men folks out, because we give birth to women and girls and boys and sons. And during the panoramic, I had fitness classes that was international on Zoom, online on Zoom. So co-ed classes will be in Body-Culinary Academy. There is also a workshop for men, healthy eating for men, and whole foods preparation and preservation, right? So doing any kind of emergency, even if it's with you, which I highly recommend. If y'all not starting your garden, what are you doing? You'll be amazed at what you can grow. But any event, do you have your house stocked up? I'm not talking about cans. If you want to eat a can, that's on you, right? It's not right or wrong. But I have things stored up so that I always have something. This food is multi-purpose. If there's somebody in my house that eats lightly cooked, they can do that. I can also sprout. And I can plant the things that I have, and it saves you a lot of money. So if you don't have a copy, get your copy of Whole Living Foods in the Hood with menus to fit your budget. There's checklists, there's pictures of what I've been doing all of these different years. Your food bag is going to get heavy, but your food bill should go down, right? And a lot of recommendations for single folks, also parents. I give you all those questions that people could have asked me. There's natural beauty, no products, healthy eating for men, and the raw vegan cakes preparation workshop. So you have something that's not going to jack up your skin and clog your colon. You can have some sweets to look forward to. This is how you're going to get off the diet whole straw. So it's a lot of resources for you. It's a lot of resources for you. It's several things that's coming up. Always look to see how to best organize it. So it's effective, efficient, and you can really see possibilities for really upgrading the way that you eat and that you take care of yourself as lifestyle practices. Your health is your number one 401k, right? So we it's beneficial for us to make tangible, consistent deposits into the 401k of your health so that you have brain health, your immune system, and your organs, right? And then we also have the heart and your bones and your body composition, right? And it helps your calm, it helps restore your nervous system. All right, let me jump off of here. Shout out to Donna Nelson and Carolyn Shepard and the folks over on Body Culinary on TikTok. Y'all follow on TikTok? Sending so much warm, positive vibration, inviting you to get into action around what you say is a core value. Hopefully, one of those things is health. If you're not moving and grooving and challenging yourself, then why are you expecting tone? That's not real. That's fake. Question anybody that's selling you the okie doke. Create a great day on purpose. Like, comment respectfully, and subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. Also, feel free if you got value here to support the channel, right? Because I'm always burning out phones and my iPads in the garden and recording so much content. All right. See y'all soon. And see y'all on TikTok.